think about Jesus when he was teaching, and he taught in parables so that the people would understand. I think a lot of times in children's ministry, it's very similar, where you are teaching in a way that allows them to understand. You're not dumbing it down, but you're teaching in a way where they can understand. And to do that, you need to have an understanding of what you're teaching, not just the narrative, but what does it mean? How does it apply? How can I get this to them where they can understand and walk away with something?
Hey, welcome back to the Castleview Baptist Church podcast. Today, I'm excited. We have a growing church. Growing church needs a growing staff, and we've got a growing staff right now. And our latest addition is Brett Schon. And Brett, you were an intern last summer. How was that experience for you?
It was great. It was great. I was on the podcast not a year ago with Noah.
That's right.
We got to spend a whole summer here.
I remember you guys came on and Noah came out swinging, immediately.
Right.
Yeah. He talked about me getting kicked out of kindergarten. He talked about you being late to your first event.
And you brought it up again. See, I was wondering if it was going to be brought up.
Just in case your mom's watching this.
Right.
I want her to.
And I'm going to get another text. But
you got a text last time. What? You're late?
I did.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning with a little bit more peace, knowing that this chair would be empty, and that I wouldn't have to worry about the strays.
Right.
But here you come, and you threw it again. So it's
Noah
okay.
actually called last night. I was tied up at the time, so I couldn't answer. We're going to talk later today. He may have heard you were going to be on, and probably had a few things he wanted me to say. And so, thankfully for you,
surprised me.
Right? He's not able to be present. Good experience last summer.
It was great. Yeah.
What'd you learn? What'd you enjoy?
Well, it was a very growing experience. Being here with Noah was great. I think we had a great chemistry. We complemented each other well. But it was just great to be tossed into the different compartments of the church, if you will, getting to meet people, build connections. And it's made this process easier. You don't really have to redo the relationships that have already been made. So that was a huge blessing.
Yeah, good. And this process is having you come back out. You're going to be working with our children.
Right.
And we're pretty excited about that. Have you always seen yourself as getting into children's ministry, or is this something that's more of a recent development? Where does this come from? Well, let me ask you this first. When you were this age, first grade, second grade, third grade, what'd you want to do? What'd you want to be?
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to, it was weird. I don't know. I'm not really
it's not a bad thing to want to do.
I'm not really sure when that stopped, but as long as I was a kid, all I remember is wanting to be.
Why was that weird?
I don't know.
We have a vet in the church,
Do
Ryan.
we really?
Yeah. Is that weird that he does that?
No, it's not weird at all. I'm so sorry.
He listens to this podcast every single week, and now you think his position's weird.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
The profession is not weird at all. But looking at where I am now and looking back at, what my goal was as a kid, it's interesting to see how things change, priorities change.
When did you feel called to ministry?
It wasn't until the very end of my senior year of high school. So I was already accepted to college, already had a major picked out, and I believe it was a week before graduation when I was like, whoa, this...
Is that right? Were you going to Pensacola?
I was.
Were you already planning that? Okay. Yeah. What was the major going to be?
Math education.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. So you think that profession's weird?
Weird.
I wonder if we have any math teachers in the church.
Math education was going to be your major?
It was. Yeah.
What a nerd.
I know. I know. I liked calculus and
Are you good at? You must be good at math. I'm
was
terrible at it. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I could do it anymore. I think after you take a couple years off, it's like basketball. You lose everything.
Really? So. Because they actually say the opposite is true. A shooter can always shoot.
Well, I played with you, so clearly you weren't a shooter, because I think I remember beating you a couple times in horse.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This has gone off the rails.
We need to calm down.
Whenever you and Noah are together, bad things come out. Did you beat me in basketball?
No, you actually won.
I thought I did.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Okay. Just to set the record straight here, I did think. No, that's funny. So you wanted math education was what you were thinking. Okay. All the way up until that was your declared major until about your senior year of high school. What happened to change that decision?
We had one of those youth takeover services. Yeah. I was one of the oldest guys in our youth group, and my youth pastor, who was huge impact on my life, asked me to share a devotional. And not too long before that, I had this whole rededication of my life to the Lord. I'd gotten some things right, and decided that I was going to start, walking the straight and narrow. And from that point on, as I started submitting my life to God, it just became very evident that there was peace in one area. There are a lot of things I maybe could have done, but when I thought about ministry and thought about, I don't know what this looks like, but I know what I want to be doing. there was peace.
Okay. So then you change your major and you go into what? As a freshman, what did you enroll in at Pensacola?
Pastoral ministries at Pensacola as a freshman.
At that time, were you thinking youth ministry? Are you thinking senior pastor? What were you thinking at that point?
So I was definitely leaning more towards youth. The concept of the senior pastor is still not something that I know that I'm called to do. Something that I'm definitely open to, but at this time, just not sure if that's where God's leading me. But I was really heavy on youth ministry for the first couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. That was in the back of your mind.
Yep.
Head that direction. When does that change? Right. Now you've
Right.
you've come out and you're going to be our children's pastor. And so this last week you were in some classes observing, and by the way, we've got a great team of teachers, and I'm excited for you. I mean, I think we've got some amazing people back in the children's ministry that are just incredible teachers, have a great heart for those kids. I'm excited for you jumping in there and just kind of building that culture and just enjoying some of the team that's back there. You taught Sunday night actually, so you got to know a bunch of the kids as well. I was teaching my new members class, and all of a sudden I heard these kids right out our window, having the time of their life. They were charged up.
They were.
Yeah, you were back there. Interns were back there. I think Pastor Johnny was back there. Yeah. There was a lot happening.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy that night.
Did you have a good time?
It was good. It was great.
So all of a sudden you are now working with children here. So when did that start? When did you kind of transition from teens is what I want to do to, hey, I'm gonna go out and work with children?
Yeah. Ironically, freshman and sophomore year of college, I was that guy that said I will do anything except work with kids. I was terrified of them.
Yeah.
I thought kids are too honest. Kids are scary. They'll tell you what you think. If you're really bad at preaching, they're going to tell you. So I thought, kids are really scary.
Yeah.
And it changed gradually over time. But going into my junior year, I started an internship throughout the school year at a church. And, I wasn't sure what they were going to have me doing, but I was really excited. And as soon as I got there, I found out that the only thing that I would be doing is teaching children. Every Sunday, every Wednesday. Like, that was my only responsibility.
Yeah.
And over time, I just developed such a burden specifically for those kids. But as time went on and I saw different churches and different ministries, I discovered that God had really given me a burden for this next generation, specifically the children aspect of it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you feel like it's easier or harder to teach children as compared to teenagers or even adults? What do you think's harder?
Pastor, I think that when teaching children, you can get away with more without the preparation. But to do it justice, it actually takes more.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people will go into children's ministry thinking, oh, it's just kids. Nobody's going to call me out. No one will tell if I can't prepare.
And a lot of people do.
Right.
That's right. I mean, I'm going to teach David and Goliath again. We'll act it out, or we'll go to Moses, or we'll talk about Abraham, or some. I think there is an element that okay, these children may not look at me and not know that I have, or maybe not be conscious of that I've not put the work in.
Right.
So that's an easier side of working with children for sure. What's the harder side?
Well, the harder side is that I'll say this first of all, children ask a ton of questions, a ton. Yes. They'll ask questions that you didn't even think of. Yeah. And if you don't have the passage studied, you're not going to know what to say.
Right.
But secondly, I think about Jesus when he was teaching. And he taught in parables so that the people would understand. I think a lot of times in children's ministry, it's very similar where you are teaching in a way that allows them to understand. You're not dumbing it down, but you're teaching in a way where they can understand. And to do that, you need to have an understanding of what you're teaching. Not just the narrative, but what does it mean? How does it apply?
Yes.
How can I get this to them where they can understand and walk away with something?
Sometimes we see a speaker come in and they're incredibly intelligent. And you can be blown away by even their knowledge, and man, they're kind of way up here. And you almost walk out with some speakers, and you kind of go, "Whew, that person is so smart. I don't even understand at all where he was." I mean, he is super smart. Well, I think so much harder to take some of these complex issues and make them understandable, right? I remember a sign on my on a classroom I taught in years ago when I was a youth pastor, and it said, if you can't explain it, if you can't put it in English, you don't understand it yourself.
Yeah.
And you can come across super intelligent by throwing concepts out or some heavy thing. And by the way, I can do that even with the adults. Sometimes in church, I can throw something out knowing that I don't have to explain that right now, because I think they'll get it.
Right.
With children, you can't do that. You literally have to walk them through the entire process for them to be able to grasp it. That's harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. And I mean, I'd like to say this. I think that there is a very distinct difference between doing what we're describing and dumbing down a story. Children are much smarter than people give them credit. They understand. I mean, Jesus literally commanded and admonished us to come to him with the faith of a child. And I think that we don't give them enough credit for what they're able to not just understand, but retain.
Yeah,
and if you want to see that when you're teaching a kid, just ask them to finish one of your sentences and you'll be amazed. They just stand up and say exactly what you were thinking. I'm like, wow, that was...
I do love that, because I think that we have kind of gotten to a place with teens, and we do this with children too. Man, we've got to dumb it down so much. And listen, I get it. I mean, there's going to be a certain level that you've got to get on with them. But they're learning. I mean, they're growing. You have this amazing opportunity to be able to shape where they're headed. And Brett, I'm excited for you because you get to be a part of formation with children, right? I think that you have this opportunity. Boy, these kids, I mean, this is going to change the rest of their life. I mean, so much of the lessons that we hold on to as adults, so much of what they lean on even through their teenage years, they're learning these things when they're children. And so we always take this very seriously at the church. Starting at the nursery, this is not just babysitting, right? I think a lot of churches have kind of leaned that direction. And by the way, I don't want to be Castleview Baptist Church. We're known as the boring church for kids, right? I don't want that either. You want to engage them and have some fun with them. But you also do have to have something that you're part of that formation. You're teaching, you're developing, you're pointing a certain direction on purpose, not just filling time.
Right.
Each and every week. What do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts about?
No, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that drew me to Castleview last year in the first place, was how intentional everything that was done is, or at least that's the heart behind all of it, is that we wouldn't just have an addition to a Sunday morning service, a duplicate of it on Sunday nights, but that it would have its own unique, intentional purpose behind it. And I think that beyond just the adult ministry or even the teen ministry, that can be applied to as low as the nursery or to the children.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I would say this as you kind of move forward here and you begin to implement and move forward and put some things together. Our church mission statement, of course, is leading people into a growing relationship with Jesus. And we want our children, you probably could just change a word in there, leading children into a growing relationship with Jesus. And so you kind of step back and say, okay, where is this first grader, this third grader? Where are the little hearts? What do they know? What do they need to know? What do they need to learn so that we can build this foundation moving forward?
Right.
And I think if you see it that way, it makes such an incredible difference that, okay, I'm not coming here this weekend just to have kids like me or for me just to have a great time or pass the time. No, I've got whatever time I've got, whether it's 25, 30 minutes for the actual lesson or an hour to be able to download the love of Jesus into these kids. Man, I want to use every single moment to be able to do that. And I do think this is important too. We want this to start in the nursery, but they're not going to remember. They might remember a feeling when they went to church years ago when they were young, maybe a toddler, whatever. Children, though, you are forming their opinion of church and who Jesus is. And the way that you handle them and their teachers handle them can affect them for the rest of their lives, right? Yeah. That they can look back at church and say, hey, all I know was when I went as a kid, I loved it. You know, when I went as a kid, that was a place, so many people are so judgmental. Church is judgmental, church is harsh, church is mean, whatever. No, when I think about church, I remember that life group leader, that Sunday school teacher, that children's pastor, every time I went to church, man, I didn't have love at home necessarily all the time, but I had it at church. You know what I mean? You can really, I think that's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't have the power to impact, or not impact, we don't have the power to control a child's home life.
That's it.
We can't control the factors that go on outside of the church necessarily, what they get at school, but we can impact what happens in the church.
Yeah.
And you said it best the other day. You talked about how as children's ministers and youth ministers, we are like the people standing on the side of the marathon who are handing the water, as the prayer would be that their family is leading them in that direction with the Lord, and we're assisting them in what they're doing.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 6, right? I mean,
Right.
the parent, they're running the marathon. You know, we get to show up for an hour or 2 hours during the week, and we really are. Hey, good job, Mom. Hey, great job, Dad. Let me support you and let me encourage you. We've had some great conversations already. I'm very excited about where you're headed, what you're trying to do. And I know the next couple of weeks you're really observing a lot, and you're going to be meeting parents and teachers and all of that. And so I would encourage our church too, just to get to know you the next couple of weeks, and really pray for you as well as you get involved. And by the way, as we talk about getting to know you, favorite restaurant. If someone said, "Hey, let's go eat," where do you want to go?
You really just threw that on me, right?
I
there.
did.
I really like Chili's. I used to work at
right?
Chili's as a teenager.
Okay.
So I always liked that.
Yeah.
And then any kind of, Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
Really enjoy.
We got to get you in the
enjoy
local
Mexican
places
food.
here. There's some really good.
I don't have
great
any local answers. I was trying to think of something, but you just tossed that one on me, and I have nothing for you. So I'm sorry, all small local businesses.
All right. So okay. So if somebody gets you a gift card, they want you wanted to be at Chili's right now, huh? You can eat some Chili's. What else?
Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
You're a man of fine tastes.
Oh, my mind is blocked. I have no. I am lost. Hardest question of the day. What's your favorite restaurant?
You answered everything else so seamlessly, and then I throw food out, and it locks you right up.
Oh.
Well, Brett, we're very excited to have you here. And,
I'm glad to be here.
Really, we're thrilled you're here. We're glad you did a great job last summer, and we're really excited about what God's going to do here through you. And so, Castleview, let me just encourage you: if you're a parent or a church member, get to know Brett over the next several weeks. Pray for him. This is quite a transition in his life to be working with children, and he's got a real desire and a burden, not just to pass the time in there, but honestly to be able to be a part of the formation of these children. And so pray for him, get to know him over the next few weeks. Hey, thank you again for watching this episode of the Castleview Baptist Podcast. We'll see you again next week.